Well, it's nice to meet everybody. You guys hear me in the back? You good? So I'm Luke, the CEO, co-founder of CapExpert, joined by Pete.
Nice to see you guys.
You guys are in this room, obviously, because inventorying physical assets is a pain in the butt. We found a way, leveraging the new favorite acronym of everybody in the world, AI, in order to do the fastest, smartest, easiest inventories of physical assets in healthcare. So how did we get here to start? Pete and I founded CapExpert back in 2021. I came up with the idea when I actually was working for a company called Surgery Partners on the provider side. We started as a redeployment marketplace to help ASCs buy and sell equipment they weren't using to and from each other. We ended up talking to our leadership and the folks that we were building the platform for. Their feedback was, we don't even know what we have, let alone like what we're not using, what needs to be serviced, what needs to be replaced. So
I apologize to interject just real quickly. I'm so sorry for not being here ahead of time to let you know. But if you are looking for credit for this class, on your way out, please scan this QR code so we can have you in the system and make sure you get your CD credit.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, all set. So when they gave us the feedback, we don't even know what we have. We decided to expand the platform and make basically an outpatient version of an asset management platform. And it was then when I was doing the physical inventory of the first dozen or so clients we had, realized it took like 3 to 5 minutes to get the information off the asset and into the platform. And I realized, someday I want to have 1 million assets on this platform. It's got to go faster. Otherwise, it's going to take like 25 years to get there. So enter AI. And it is the buzzword in all of business, right? And so you've probably seen generic statements like this from everybody. And it's what we started as a company selling too, right? You want to use all the buzzwords. You want to use all the exciting insights, all of the brand new technology. But ultimately, what does it actually mean? What does AI unlock for healthcare providers in particular? So go ahead and go to the next slide there. There are 5 things I want you to take away today from this talk. In particular, what we've proven is that we can inventory up to 360 unique pieces of medical equipment per hour now. And that's per user using AI, and that's capture, which is essentially leveraging Google Lens. Have you guys seen the Google Lens commercials where you can like take a photo of a skateboard and go buy it instantly? We built that but for medical equipment. So that means you can take a photo, it recognizes what the piece of equipment is, it automatically puts it into your hierarchy, and then it's ripping all of the data, not only from the asset, but then it's also enriching it with all the open source information like FDA recalls and manufacturer useful life, but also all of the unstructured data that your clients can provide you. So that can be the existing CMMS data, like your service history. You can attach your literal OEM service contracts to it, and it's all being done within hours of that one picture being taken. 2, to inventory something means you're going to get the make, model, serial number, age, specs, and pictures of the asset. So that's what you're getting per hour on 360 unique pieces of equipment. And basically the biggest lag time there is walking between equipment now. It's not sitting down. And do you guys, if you're doing a physical inventory today, are some of you guys using any technology solutions, or is it Excel sitting down in the middle of the room and shouting out the numbers to each other? That's kind of what we've seen is the most common. Is that fair to say? So that's what you get with inventory with your photos. We are an AI native solution that rapidly structures equipment data. So what that means is we are your software partner. We're not here to replace any existing systems. We're here to enrich and supercharge your existing people, your existing platforms, and ultimately, we are a software solution that is helping you unlock all these insights a whole lot quicker. And then what we found, obviously, is that an AI native approach, so software first plus a white glove approach, equals a much higher NPS score and ultimately higher data quality. So you can have the coolest technology in the world. And from our earliest conversations with our biggest clients, the feedback will always be, especially you guys know where healthcare lands on the adoption curve of all technology, very last. They're going to want a person first. And I think for the next 5, 10 years, they're still not really going to be interested in how the sausage is made. they're going to be very interested in just hiring the next best partner because they get the results that they're seeking, and definitely very customizable and usable because all of our clients are very, very special. And then the last one is what you see today is just the beginning of what's possible. So again, being a lean, tech-forward company means that we get feedback from all of our clients for what our customers need, and those oftentimes you're seeing those changes to the platform and the next turn every month. So if the feedback makes sense and it's a consensus across multiple clients, our platform's changing instantly. It's not like we're Oracle or some other big ERP. Very flexible, very lean, and that's a lot of credit to this guy over here, our Chief Product Officer. So how'd we get here? Go to the next one. I think that was the story I actually shared you. It was basically we started as a redeployment marketplace, ultimately to let's solve this one thing better than anybody else with very, very fast inventories in order to start driving value beyond that. And that got us to Capture. So I'll pass it off to Pete, and he can talk you through exactly what the platform means.
Perfect. Thanks, Luke. Yeah, so inventorying is hard. You leave inventories and your back hurts, your knees hurt. You question whether something was missed. Do any of you guys work with the data after the fact? Does anybody? Yeah, I see the head nods. So Capture not only is a way to, rapidly take in inventory when you're on site, keep track of what's been done across a team of people that are trying to get inventory for one reason or another, but also after the data lands in, like we're doing all the cleansing, the cleaning, and next day for our clients, right? So as you think about upcoming inventory projects, it's not just the on-site to think about, it's the data preparation after, and what do you want to do with that data to activate it. This video here, I don't know if we can make it run, but Aaron, can you click the thing there? What this is this was in Boise. We were doing a hospital. Let's see. I think you have to hit play on there.
Yeah, if you have to exit presenter mode or something like that, you definitely want to show the demo.
And for anyone that is going to listen to the recording, I apologize for the break.
Yeah, right.
As she's getting that set though, today, like we said, we're using our cell phones, and if you can imagine, like AI is sometimes as good as the picture, sometimes it's a little better, right? So if you're taking a picture of, say, a stretcher, it's going to say this is a stretcher. If you see it's a Stryker stretcher, it's a Stryker stretcher. But if you take a picture of the actual label, it starts to pull in that data completely standardized. So I don't know if you can get it rolling or not. Okay.
Well, long of the short of it is, the summary of that video is we have a guy walking around a 500 square foot OR. He's taking photos of the asset, the manufacturing sticker. We have a main component, subcomponent logic. So if it's an OR bed, we're also getting the attachments on the anesthesia machines. We're also getting the monitors and the vaporizers. One user in 2.5 minutes, physically inventoried 15 assets. So that means he's doing 10 seconds per asset, and the OR is done in 2.5 minutes in every single asset within there.
So some of the use cases, as we think about Capture, and I'll just leave it up here so you can visually imagine this guy moving around a room. It started with just rebuilding trust. Like, what do we have under our roof? We've quickly been pulled into partners in the healthcare ecosystem that are looking to take over biomed services for a client. They're looking to extend service contracts to a client or a group. They're looking to do a new ERP transformation, and they need to know what's there. Literally in every scenario you can think of, if you need to know what's there, Capture's a really simple, agile way to do it really rapidly and really accurate. Some of the earliest use cases today, and overall the value back, it's like customers, like hospitals that believe they have X actually have Y, which translates to millions of dollars of honestly mismanaged assets. Capture exposes that. We also too often find, like, when you're on site with the app, there's things sitting in corners and rooms collecting dust. So we've worked with partners to help them offload that equipment that's no longer needed. So additional value services that are happening beyond just knowing what's there. Things that are broken, sitting idle, everything like that is captured instantaneously in the app. So that's kind of just one example. We've had a couple others where service contracts are the focus of the group, and it's really hard for someone to write up a service contract if they don't really know the state of the equipment that's there today. Not even the state, but the make, the model, how many, right? And so Capture is exposing that, and what we do is we take that data and we can instantaneously cross-reference that with the active service contracts that that facility has, and work with the service contract provider to help that client make a transition into savings, better coverage. You guys know probably that game better than even me.
I want to reiterate we got some people coming after we started. So just really quickly as a quick refresh. So Capture is essentially, have you seen Google Lens? Any of the commercials where you can take a photo of a skateboard, it pulls up basically on Google Chrome or whatever, and you could buy it there. We built that for medical equipment, which means we can do 360 assets an hour per person that is using the mobile app. And then all that data is not only being pulled off the physical asset and standardized into a new hierarchy, but it's also enriched with everything that's open sourced LLMs. So it's the marketing description, it's the specs, it's the FDA recalls, it's all of the fair market valuations pulled in as the second pull. And then the other pull is all the unstructured data that the client gives us. So whether it's coming from their accounting platform, their depreciation table, their asset registry, but also their existing service reports, CMMS data. And we're rebuilding and restandardizing, ultimately structuring asset data for the first time really quickly. Did you have questions?
Yeah. With some of those numbers, what are they actually capturing on that? Like obviously the equipment, but is that assuming it has an ID tag on it? Is it assuming, what are the assumptions?
Anything you can physically read on the asset, so can the computer vision. And that is where we can bring in any of the customization too. So it's the asset ID that's on there with it, you're putting on there with your own sticker, or it can be the QR codes that are used. It can be the name of the engineer who's in charge of servicing it. All of that can be pulled physically off the asset and then structured on the platform.
Is there any manual entry of any, like that you're considering as part of that?
Yeah,
where it is, or floor it's on, or
a location's a part of it. So that when you open it up, and again, sorry, the demo is not working with the PDFs, I guess. But yeah, so it's got a room logic. So you can walk into a room, you name the room, you open up the asset, you download the asset essentially by taking photos to it. And then from there, you can add admin notes. So right now, our favorite is when we see something that patient stretchers we just did on here. Yeah, the inventory we did for the patient beds, right? That's obviously the status is should be storage shelf, not patient bed, right? So it's those things that we can add in admin notes that are tagged exactly to that individual line item. Other things like when you find sticky notes on it, it's a do not use, or no, don't unplug, or not facility owned. All of those can be also added when you're capturing the physical image too.
Some of the other like major benefits of the app, I hate to talk about just like features, but you know, a lot of times accessibility is a problem, right? Like if there's a patient in that room, and so we instantly we've lived through it with ourselves, right? The old days of the clipboards, the spreadsheets, the computers in the hospital. So we have cloning features as well, where it's like you could either clone an entire room, like if all the pre-op PACU bays are the same, you could clone all the assets that are within that, and at least from a starting point of whatever your guys' project initiative is, you at least know quantity, count, make, model based off of being able to enter one of the 40 pre-op PACUs. So that's been a big one. The other is in healthcare, oftentimes the service and the signal is bad. And so we've had to think about when you get in a place, you're on their Wi-Fi, the Wi-Fi cuts out, then you're on cellular and cellular is shaky, how to make up for that. So like we have completely an offline mode. I can't tell you how many times you think you're done and they're like, hey, do you want to go to our storage unit? Do you want to go in? It's like you're in the parking garage and you go into a closet and you find all these things. Capture really stays agile for the user to do that. The only thing you're up against is your phone battery, right? So, you know, I would always say bring the phone charger with you on these big trips.
Invest in Mophie.
Yeah. But back to Luke's point, I think we get a lot of the spotlight and capture of the mobile app, but the really non-sexy but really cool thing is you all probably get a ton of documentation throughout the process of whatever you do with customers and medical equipment. And so Capture goes beyond just pictures of assets to data, like he's saying. It's the documentation surrounding the equipment. And our goal is to just unlock that for you, for your business.
Yeah. One other great thing I think that Pete did with the product is it is in the App Store. So if you've got a scope of a project and you're just not able to get to a certain part of the building for whatever reason, patients or what have you, your end users can download the app on their phone, and they can go finish up the project themselves if you need to bridge that gap. So you're not dedicating more time and travel and charging them more for going out as well.
Yeah, I was wondering if one of your customers or who is using your app, are they using their personal mobile device, or are they using the hospital's device because of cybersecurity?
Up to the organization.
Okay.
I will say this about cyber. We take that very seriously. I think, you know, the minute you post your first thing on LinkedIn, cyber begins, right? Like people know you're out there. But it's extremely secure. It also goes through, like Luke said, both Android and iOS governance. Anytime there's a release on a mobile app, they have to approve, you know, those settings and stuff, but up to the user. Any other questions?
You know, it's kind of one of those, go ahead. Of course.
So, combining this with the CMMS, right? So could you put tagging on there, like 1, 2, 3, 4 is the equipment servicers code or whatever, so that as they're scanning it, like your actual asset tag.
Yeah.
Could tell you a lot more, and then if so, have you done that?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So as we work with companies that have specific coding nature, whether it's an asset ID that finance uses versus a biomed sticker versus even a barcode, you know, the clients we work with, they send us a picture of that before, and we ensure the AI understands, like, this is your barcode specific to your business. There's nothing manual you have to do. You just need to capture it within the picture of the item. Right, so if you take a picture of stretcher, you go and take a picture, it says 1015 Stryker, serial number, this, that, and then you have your unique identifier, whether it's a RFID tag, it's a biomed sticker, you take that, it's able to orchestrate that and put it in the correct fields. Another thing I'll call out is we have quite a few customers that want us to kind of map to their hierarchy, right? Like they have certain codings and stuff, so you guys use certain kind of governance or hierarchy in your data, it's just something pre-scope that we do and make sure that the data, the way it comes out to us, translates to your world. If that makes sense.
And so just out of curiosity, have you done where the CMMS says a certain type of model, your AI says others, and you cross-map that in the CMMS, meaning you'll go back and forth, because obviously with multiple sites, people call things different things.
Yeah.
Because acquisitions happen, right? So I guess that's the point, like the source of truth, how do you get there?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we have, like, right, to your point, the way we say things, Stryker 1015 stretcher. We have groups though that are using certain codings and governance that say, like, we need to know if it's a hydraulic stretcher, for example. So one of the things that our algorithm does in that data standardization is if you have a specific way you talk about or identify the items, our AI will map it to that within a degree of like certain confidence, right? So like if you have 10,000 items, you know, maybe the 9,995 of them, it's very confident. Maybe there's those 5% or those 5 that aren't. We also confidence score all that stuff so that after the fact, if there's any kind of manual review, we know kind of where to look to make sure you've mapped it properly. Saw a question here.
Yeah, is it just medical equipment or other types of equipment in the physical environment?
Furnitures and fixtures, we're seeing a lot. Some people that do appraisals are using the app, right? Like for mergers and acquisitions, divestitures. So they're taking, I see them take pictures of computers.
They'll open up a drawer and just take a photo of the drawer. And it's
Yeah.
like, what's in there?
Facilities?
Yeah, like HVAC or any of those. Yep, yeah, same thing. again, it all comes down to if there's enough information for you to read physically, the computer vision can rip it and read it. And then all the way back to the data structure over there, it's what does the client need? Everything is the amount of time we save up front by being able to do 1 million square feet in a week is where we can structure and customize all the data on the back end. We'll be doing, don't yell at me. We'll be able to do supplies by the end of Q3. So like full storerooms, supply rooms, and it's not just scanning of the UDI. It's like you can get the entire, all the supplies too. So really, we're just kind of getting more and more use cases, very prevalent, obviously, for like liquidations, closures, M&A. So we've got partners that are in those channels as well, not just focused necessarily on biomed.
Yeah, it's been really interesting because like, I wish it was a simple problem to solve, right? The things that tend to give, like, as we're in this world of AI, tend to give AI problems, right? Is if we took a picture here, right? Like it's generic, there's a bunch of chairs, there's tables. So understanding too, like why are we there is really important because you have to remove a lot of the noise when it's not as specific as like this biomed sticker, this serial number, but more so generic. So if any of you guys work with furniture and fixtures, like we've had to really kind of crack the code on things like that. As he mentions, consumables, some other things matter, maybe unit of measure, maybe expiration date, lot number. And so we've had to continuously, the AI is getting smarter. And the more use cases we see, it just continues to get more precise over time. Was there a question up here earlier?
I just did. I just came in on the conversation. This was to piggyback off of hers. Do you guys use like ECRI nomenclature when you're doing like the asset classification?
ECRI specifically, no. But I will say this about our data. We do have benchmarking in there, right? So like, we've been brought up with some clients in the ECRI conversation. Do you know what this thing is worth? Yeah. Do we know firsthand, secondhand, and what other facilities in your group have paid for it? Yeah. As long as we get the data and it's just normalizing. So we have our categorization. It's proprietary to us. We honestly kept it quite simple, right? Like example, patient transfer equipment, stretchers, Stryker 1015 model, something that anyone can understand. But we're starting to get pulled into projects where certain standards have to be met, certain like 5-digit codes and such like that. And that goes back to her question of that backwards mapping.
And this is a selfish question for me. Is this cool? Do you guys get this? Like, do you see value in other roadmaps that we haven't necessarily talked about today? Where this is like a very practical solution for AI, and is there anything we're missing from this gap? Because candidly, we've sold directly to providers and OEMs at this point. So this is our first big foray into partnering closer with biomed companies, but or in the service industry.
I would just say one thing. So we use our IoT solution,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's passively scanning the data on the equipment itself. And the reliability of that is about half,
Mm-hmm.
right, of what we're collecting and AI is doing with it. So I feel like there might be, I don't know if the reliability, you're giving confidence score to it, but my experience with AI and trying to manipulate that data has not been great.
Yeah.
And that's actually coming from the equipment itself, not scanning,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'd like you to elaborate on that a little bit of how you've been successful in getting it fine-tuned like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think in the oversimplified explanation is that we have the photo of all the data that's literally on the asset. So we do have the ultimate source of truth. This asset was here. Here's all the information that is known about that asset that's here. And then ultimately, we're not building like a chat GPT that's you wouldn't know anything about your hospital's equipment by asking ChatGPT what's in my facility, right? So we're building the ability to understand that data and actually work with that data with your own insights. As far as building out the confidence, ultimately it falls all the way back to we know what's on the asset, and ultimately what we're structuring it to is kind of becoming the standard across all of our clients. So if you have any more color to add on, like.
Yeah, I think it hasn't been easy, I'll say. Like, I'm not surprised to hear that. When we first started, like, using AI to do this, because like in the old days, right? Like Luke said, I know some of you missed the founding story, right? But like went on site, it took forever, loading stuff, Google Drive, dropping photos, and then you have a team that's like putting these things together and packaging it ready for a customer. The whole thought was, how do we get away from any manual entry on site? When we first started though, like we were about like 70% confident in what we were seeing. And what we'd had to do is had a team look and say, yes, yes, good, good, yes. And so now, I mean, like fast track and like we're in the upper like 98% confidence, so at least 2% for review, manual review on our side, which we're chasing right to that 99%. But with that said, after the fact, we also have a series of auditing processes to place because sometimes things go weird with AI still. I mean, you don't ask the wrong question to GPT, right? So we're still you know, going through the right kind of like clinical eyeballs to make sure like, yeah, this looks sound. But so far, like it's been pretty resounding across the customers we've worked with, like the outcome. So you had a question.
Yeah,
comment.
comments. We're gonna be doing IV pump replacements, and that's thousands of devices. So I'm just thinking like this could be useful for that to capture, you know, 5,000 pumps.
It's our bread and butter
and
use
then get
case.
it transferred. Same patient monitoring for the next year to replace thousands of patient monitors. So I see this being used well.
You also too, we have certain clients that like, you might need to know the serial number and the tagging on each one of those. So like, no matter what, whether it's video, which is typically expensive, the barcode scan a picture, you could log each one of those individually, but there could be assets where you just are like, we need to make sure we know how many are here. So if there's 5,000, like you could take a picture of one. If make and model only matter, to picture one in quantity 5,000. So that's just throwing that out there too, where it's more about speed and less about the unique identifier per asset as well. There is that type too.
But if you need the decommission tracking too, all the way through, like we've done that for closures. So to have every single line item and then have the proof of decommissioning as well, you can tag it all the way down to the serial number. So as complicated as the process is, as thorough as it needs to be, it all just starts with that, you know, that first photo of each asset. But we also, so the founding story was we started as a reallocation marketplace for unused medical equipment in the outpatient space. We were told that by our first users, we don't even know what we have. So we ended up building like an outpatient asset management platform. I used to work for Surgery Partners. Pete and I worked together at Cardinal Health before that, selling into surgery centers. That's how we kind of cut our teeth in the space. Trying to throw off all the tech bro vibes, and like we actually come from and have been, you know, on the provider side too. And ultimately we still have that end-to-end solution. So everything you've got, if there are reallocation needs, if there are divestiture needs, if there are replacement needs, that's where CapExpert becomes a vertical platform. So starting with all the data, infusing it with the useful life. If 70% of all medical equipment purchases every single year are replacements or upgrades of the existing stuff, that's kind of our core thesis as a company, right? Got to know where the existing install base is, and then you can actually build out a capital plan with great data. So yeah, lots of flexibility after the initial rapid inventory is done, but this is our bread and butter and what we've taken to market, and we're having early success with exactly those use cases you just walked through. We need to go upgrade all of our patient beds. Well, how many do we have? It's a very easy question to ask. It's a very hard one to answer. So we help get to a very fast answer.
My team is very small, and I do not sit and enter 5,000
Yep.
assets in my CMS.
Yep.
Yeah, we've had quite a few clients to that point. Like we have a lot of services like in redeployment, disposition, procurement that, you know, we have partnerships either forming or formed where they offer a service, right? If they offer biomed, but their customers are looking for more, right? That more piece is something that working with us, some of these guys are white labeling, it has their logo up there. So like, if you guys are getting asked by your customer to what makes you different beyond service and maybe price, there is quite a bit like we can explore together that I think would be extremely beneficial. Good example, like people doing de novos, right, new builds. Oftentimes redeployment is a huge missing like element of that. They're so focused on what the new facility is getting versus like what they can ship out from the old. So like we get pulled into those. You see folks go on the floor and they have a bunch of stuff sitting non-used. We have a marketplace to get rid of that stuff. Or they're with a client and their client's like, hey, do you know anybody that sells stretchers? We have a network that will service those and sell those. So something to keep in mind. Is anybody here in RLTL or RFID or anything like that? So that's really interesting too to us because we obviously snap the time and the location of where we see something. Some of the RFID companies we're talking to, where their challenge is like bringing on value faster because the projects can take a long time to really get things mapped out. And so starting those conversations of like, if you use capture with the RFID, not only can we like real time maybe update the location in our platform, but you could offer X services along with it. So if you're looking to bring ROI faster to clients, we seem to like kind of fit in that realm as well. I saw a question here too.
So like when you start an engagement with a customer, you will take their data from their CMMS, you'll have an API, you'll get their data from their CMMS, you'll take the pictures of the assets, or is it one or the other? Or talking about like equipment replacement, or is it a combination of both that you kind of build it? Because I work with Strata, you know, and they use a lot of metrics, total time to repair, mean time between failure. So are you looking at those things to kind of build your prioritization and risk replacement score?
Yeah, so when we start the engagement, it's threefold. So you've got, but at the core, what we're doing is we're structuring unstructured data and making it all talk together, right? It's all siloed. Yeah, the CMMS data, the most recent safety biomed preventative maintenance report is typically step one, especially like in the outpatient space, pretty much all they have.
Oh, will you analyze like all of them?
Yeah, so analyze all of that. Then their asset registry, so the accounting department, completely other side of the house, but you're getting information there that you're not getting on the CMMS. So we structure that as well. And then we tie everything back to the source of truth, which ultimately is the photo. We were there, we saw, validated, verified, it's there. And then we're combining and blending all three to provide the insights that each specific client wants. So typically capital plan, typically starting with where's all the old stuff or where's the most service stuff, and then just kind of knocking out projects one at a time.
And then like your output, like your body of work that you'll put to your client will be, here's a report, here's an Excel spreadsheet of like your prioritization of what you should replace, or how does that?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so we deliver it in a platform that we call CAMP. So CAMP is the capital asset management platform. It's not a CMMS, it's not an ERP. It is a decision-making tool. It's all analytics. That is, where's my riskiest equipment? Where's my most frequently? And it's all, you know, customer driven. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And then their service contracts that they want to put in, we tie everything back, and then we put, you know, it's tracking the expiration of those dates. When are these coming up? What's the scope? I mean, a massive, you go try to build like the coolest, sexiest tech company, and then ultimately they're like, can you really like store our contracts here? And it's like, yeah, we can put your contracts here too. So we end up building just like another file folder. But yeah, ultimately they're connected. You can automatically pull up, you know, the actual contract right there on the platform. And the whole vision is every asset, every detail in one location. Yeah.
I also mentioned too, we have different people with different appetites. So some people just want an Excel sheet, and we can do that 100%, right? Export the data. But then they get in the platform and they're like, this is actually, like to his point, actionable. You see it, right? Like these are all beyond useful life. Well, these are on FDA recall. Did you guys do this, like service these, right? Also to that point of analyzing assets, some of our very first customers and our pilots, they ended up hiring us for like reasons we never kind of perceived. Like we went on site, we saw these, you know, 300 assets. You gave us some of your service contracts and your biomed. The first thing we ever saw is like, well, you're paying your biomed to service this asset, but you also have a GE contract on this thing too for service. And so they look at that and they're like, well, wait, so we've been paying $1,000 a quarter, right, for something we don't need, right? Double, or you find like ghost spend where it's like, it's not like any, you guys are ever trying to like rip a client off, but sometimes things are missed. It's just like, hey, yeah, we got rid of that like 2 years ago. You're like, well, it's been on your service schedule for, the last 2 years. So it really is a way to bring kind of that visual value to your customers for sure.
Property tax, right? We divested this, we reallocated this, laser we're not using anymore, the whatever, that all adds up. And so, yeah, he talked about a category called ghost spend. It really is like for the first time being able to analyze everything and the ghost spend can be as opaque as, well, we got this big thing in the storage room, we don't know what to do with it, and we don't have a buyer for it, and it's expensive to remove because logistics are hard or whatever. So that goes into ghost spend, but also like that's kind of the bread and butter one. They just haven't updated your contract, not for nefarious reasons, but it's just hard to handle the data for everybody. So let's just make it easy to remove things from your service contract versus letting things like roll and roll. So yeah, the clients are super beneficial for that, drives a massive ROI on the service. And again, like you guys see how you can engage with us. I'm not sure what who everybody works for, what exact use cases for you guys, but ultimately, it becomes part of your onboarding, right? Or it becomes part of your service team. It just means you can go faster. It just means the data is stronger. And ideally, it's just the best step one. You can't make great decisions without great data, and that's what we're just trying to provide quickly.
Any other questions?
Do we feel like we need to roll back to the first couple slides? I mean, just to kind of re-go, and we had you guys coming in about 10 or 15 minutes after we presented. So the earliest people that were on time are okay with us kind of revisiting one more time. Hopefully that kind of adds any more context, but.
Maybe this one, this gives a nice overview.
Yeah, so with Capture, what we've proven, and just as a good to know, I guess, we launched Capture in November of last year. So all the results and all the trials and all the things the platform can do is 5-6 months in right now. And the feedback has been fantastic. So what we've proven is one user using the app can do at full speed up to 360 assets an hour. What that means is a team of 4 can do 1 million square feet in a week of physical inventories of medical equipment. What does inventory mean? It means make, model, serial number, age, specs, everything else that you would want. It's not just a count and a room duplication. You can literally get all of that in that hour with that user. We're AI native, which means we're your software partner. We're not here to replace anything. We're not a CMMS. We're not an ERP. We are a platform that is enriching the existing platforms that you have, or supercharging your folks that are running around facilities and doing inventories, or your sales team in order to put together a more competitive bid and maybe implement a solution like RFID or RTLS faster. What we've also found is that adding white glove service to any technology platform is where you truly get your incredible NPS and way better data quality. I think our bet is, with AI being everybody's favorite acronym and the trendiest thing to talk about in business right now, it actually means that the person is more important now than ever before. The business partner is more important than ever before. So that's why our team, like we have dedicated account managers that are always going to be on the call. They always want to be dependent on the person, especially in healthcare. We know healthcare is going to be at the very end of the adoption curve when it comes to technology, as it's in their DNA, but for good reason. And ultimately, I think that a lot of business is going to be won over the next 5 to 10 years by the earliest adopters of technology solutions like ours, because you're just going to be the best service provider between now and then, because you're adopting the tools. No customer is asking their partner, their rep, what are you using Excel to handle this stuff, right? We want to become, and by AI native is what we mean is we're a software first partner that allows you guys to do your job better. And then lastly, this is the very beginning. So like I said, Capture was launched in November because of the feedback we got from the market. It's very easy for us to get to a very quick yes or no if people understand the value of very fast, very accurate, very cost-effective inventory of the medical equipment. And it just lays the foundation for a million things to do with it afterwards, because the scale in this space is so large. I mean, there's dollars everywhere. The dollars are leaking everywhere. And every dollar saved ideally goes back to the vendor and it gets reinvested into R&D, or it's more cost-effective care delivery for patients and hospitals that basically just at this point need all the help and support they can get. So we've got a very hungry customer base at this point, looking to do and deploy more and more so they can make better decisions. So cool. I think that's CapExpert in a nutshell. I think we've got 20 minutes for Q&A to go on, or is there anything else you wanted to add that we talked about earlier?
It's easy to use, just say that. The app, anybody that pilots it, it's self-explanatory. It's built so a 7-year-old can snap pictures. I'll keep that in mind. Like, not a high training curve.
The quality of the pictures we get sometimes, it looks like a 7-year-old.
Yeah, true. True.
Did you say at the beginning that you have a demo, but it's not working?
Yeah, there's
How do you get-
something happening with the.
There are videos on the website. I don't know if Eric's rapid inventory is on there, but we can definitely send out the deck afterwards too. I think if we. Yeah. And Aaron, we have cards and stuff too, and so that'll be the easiest way to do it. But essentially, it's you want to flip to that slide again? We can review it quickly. So I don't know who was in here or wasn't in here while we were going through that, but no, we don't. No. But yeah, you can. Aaron will help with scheduling and everything else, and we're super flexible to go meet and do a full deep dive demo. But what this video is supposed to be doing, swear we're a technology company, is it's a video of our guy Eric. Eric has a bad shoulder and a bad knee, and he's still inventoried an entire OR in 2.5 minutes. So yeah, that essentially every asset, 15 assets. He took over 30 pictures, and all the data is ready, cleaned up, and prepared. I don't know if you said this, 48 hours after the last photo is taken. So there was an instance on our use case slide where we inventoried. The client thought 1,500 beds is what they had across 5 hospitals. Any guesses on how many beds they actually had across their 5 hospitals? I wish it was 2x. No, it was 1,900. Yeah, it was 1,900. So almost 30% off, which is millions of dollars of basically, we call it. We help them recapture the management of those assets. We did that inventory in 2.5 days. We did that Wednesday to Friday. We delivered the data Monday, and we talked through it on the platform.
Do you do before and after? Like if you had a rounding feature, I guess is probably my question. Like if you did monthly rounding, it would tell you this was or wasn't here last month. Is that in there?
We don't have anybody doing monthly at this point, but we can do annual cycles. We do a before and after. Basically, this is what your initial data set said. This is what we verified when we were on site. That's kind of the step 1 before and after.
Okay.
And then ongoing from there, typically one of our biggest champions is the procurement team, because we're helping them coordinate group buys across multiple facilities and stuff. So typically when there's procurement, we're actually made aware of it. The goal for our best clients is for the receiving portion, for receiving team, to use Capture to update the platform like immediately. So it becomes kind of like your Honeywell scanner or whatever for your supplies when they come in on the Cardinal Health truck. Same thing. We have a new asset, bang, 1 photo of the asset, photo of them, and then it updates the platform. So that is like an ongoing versus like a monthly rounding.
And then I'm guessing we could.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Back to the, we want one place, accurate source of truth. And to your point, a lot of the times, the bigger the organization, it's like, there's a huge disconnect, right? But when it comes to asset management or procurement, it's like if the biomed is using Capture and using the platform and tag something for retirement, or this is no longer serviceable or anything. Even some of the OEMs are now maybe no longer serviceable equipment. Those things tagged, and then to Luke's point, that white glove person from our team is sitting there with both sides saying, hey, this is what the data says. Like, do you need help moving this out, right? So we are that bridge there.
But we build CapExpert with cross-departmental in mind, like first, so that the collaboration goes up, right? Because we talked about earlier, we're pulling data sets from the accounting team they got to pay their property taxes and whatnot. So to have that home base, that command center, was the whole point from the beginning. So the asset managers who are retiring the equipment, that becomes where they update too. And then everybody can kind of stay on the same page and nobody's surprised when things are missing, or yeah.